Pond here, and this is okay. This is one of our Ireland days today. We had the UK day yesterday, and we will be having Canada and USA next weekend. And in these symposiums, we are trying to get alumni who are working out there, who are studying out there, to come and talk about their experiences, and then we leave it open to Q&A. So in case any one of you have any questions, please hold on to them. We'll address them towards the end of the session. Today we have with us Shri Aditya, who's graduated from UCD with a master's in biosystems and food engineering and currently working as a plant technologist at Takeda. And we also have Bhargavi Hide with us, who's currently pursuing a master's in food engineering at UCD. I take this opportunity to thank you for spending your Sunday with us and guiding your juniors. We will go through the commonly asked questions first, and then we'll open it up to questions to the students. So let me start with you, Aditya, first. Okay. What made you choose Ireland as your destination, and why did you end up choosing UCD? And how was your transition from India to Ireland?
Firstly, thank you very much for that warm welcome. I've never received one like that, so thank you very much. To be very honest, this is the answer that I give most people. Whenever they ask me this question, is that I didn't choose Ireland. Ireland chose me.
Okay.
Because I applied to most, I just applied to Pan Europe because my focus was to get into food engineering or something along the lines of in relation to my chemical engineering degree, more towards the bio side of things over there, bio process. And UCD was one of the universities that I had the opportunity to, or I got the acceptance in. The other, it was that between that university and another university, but then this was more, it was the course appealed to me more, and
Okay.
whatever I wanted to do, like whatever my interests were aligned with this course. So that is why I selected, I chose Ireland to come here because the course aligned.
Okay, great. So how did you prepare for your transition from India to Ireland? Did you find the quality of education, the way you prepare for it, vastly different? And what is your advice to people who are coming to Ireland this year for their education on how to be prepared for the transition in terms of education?
Well, the education is somewhat very similar, as in similar yet different in the sense that for me, transitioning was not so difficult, but then there are certain things that you probably do a bit different, where like you have the freedom to a bit of, like, it's not a compulsion in the sense that like you need all of those attendance criterias and everything, because I was from a university back in India which had all of those criterias. So that was for me a huge upliftment, saying I can choose to whether to go or not. But then the course that is covered in class, that's actually very like in depth, and each and every module that you select, it's not like you are jumping in deep waters. Like even if you're switching courses, say somebody who's done an engineering course, they're taking suppose something little different, say they've done a computer science course and now they're moving into a statistics or a data analytics thing, which is a very popular jump that people do. You have the basics that are taught, like the first 2-3 classes are the basics, and then you slowly progress. It's more to do with how you apply the concepts that they are taught, and it's more how much you utilize the class that is being taught and the assignments, how much you involve yourself in it, the more it will be beneficial for you. That is what that is my personal experience.
Okay.
But then it's been a some time now. I think probably people who are studying now would probably give you more
Sure.
better insight rather
Sure.
into
Thanks
it.
for your answer. We also have Shivang Sharma who's joined in. Shivang, thank you for spending time and joining us on a Sunday. Appreciate that. I hope you're doing well today. I think you are on mute, Shivang.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, Shivang. Hope all's good with you.
Yeah, apologies. I joined in late. Actually, I came from a night shift yesterday and I just slept through.
No problem, no problem at all. But I'm glad you're spending time to guide your juniors. We already gone live. So for those who
Yeah.
don't know, Shivank graduated from DCU with a master's in ECE. And I think you're currently working at Intel as a process engineer, right?
Yeah, I'm working at Intel Ireland as a shift process engineer.
Okay, great. So maybe while you are online, maybe you can talk about your experience at DCU. I mean, could you talk about your class size? What was your batch size like? How many were Indians? And, maybe about your learning experience.
Yeah, sure. So I came here in 2019 and I had joined DCU for Masters in Electronics and Computers course. And DCU has a good option in electronics and computers for four or I think six nowadays, six different variations that you can finish your degree in. So actually that variation only changes with the project that you take. And you have many optional subjects in that course. So you can choose four optional subjects in 2 semesters. Out of that, 2 will be level 9 subjects and 2 will be level 8 subjects over here. So the level 8 subjects you will be sharing with the undergrad students, and that's why it will be a bigger class size. So it could be around 50 to 100. Whereas if you go for the level 9 subjects, it will be a smaller batch size, like 20 people, hardly 10 people. Some subjects like even have 5-10 people. And that was the case in mine. This and for specializations, you have options like IoT, image processing, and that only varies with your final project actually. So the course name doesn't change for you in your degree or anywhere. Only the specialization is mentioned in a bracket based on the project that you did.
Okay, and what's the diversity in the classroom? Like, how many Indians would you say, I mean, in your batch?
I say in our course in electronics and computers, there was only around 10%, 10 to 20% Indian batch, and rest was Irish, because as I told, the level 8 subjects, definitely for undergrad undergrad people will mostly be Irish. Very rarely Indian people you will see in undergrad courses. But yeah, postgrad you will still see 10% to 20% in electronics and computers. The most you will see is in data. I think data analytics will have like 80% Indians or something.
Okay.
That's the most I've seen.
Okay, great. Thanks for your answers. So Bhargavi, coming over to you. So could you tell me how a typical day in college is like? How many hours a day do you have lectures? How many hours a week do you have lectures? And where do you spend your remaining time like during your college days?
Hi, thank you again for the introduction. And I think that the hours of the day or the week will depend on the course that you've taken. So for my course, I'm studying food engineering. So I have class every single day. And it might be just one class, which is 2 hours or 3 hours long, or 2 classes, which are 1 hour long. So it depends on the semester and the course that you have. And as of now, because of COVID, a lot of things are online. So I have the opportunity to go to college every single day, but courses like computer science and IT have majority of their classes online. So they come to college just once a week or twice a week. So if you are opting for a course like that, then be prepared that you have to sit at home and do things online. So rather than coming to college, but overall, it's a very not very hectic. It's very casual. All the professors are very welcoming. They'll help you out with everything. So I think if like no one should be worried about the course or like how hectic it will be. It'll be fine once you come here.
Okay, so you mentioned about COVID and everything being online. So just clarifying, how's the post-COVID situation now? I mean, are masks compulsory? Are people walking around? What's the status right now in Ireland?
So like recently, just I think a week back or something, they removed the mask mandate, so you don't have to wear a mask anywhere in Ireland now. So previously it was just like indoors or on the buses you had to wear a mask, but you don't have to anymore. And because of that, they're increasing the number of classes which are going on in college also, so they're doing that better. So the newer students who will come in now in the next batch, I don't think they will have many classes online, so they'll have everything in person. But I think that should be it. They're like trying to improve all of the COVID situation here, so that's
okay, great. You also spoke about professors are very welcoming. So, how easy, so do they have like concept of office hours, and if you have doubts, you go and meet them for your assignments, exams? How does that work?
Yeah, like office hours, you can go anytime during your college timing, so you can go anywhere. And other than that, you can contact them by email. So some of my professors, I'm very fortunate, a professor he replies Saturdays and Sundays, which you find it very rare here, but they're all very nice. You can ask them any doubt about questions, like normal random questions in class or about exams or anything else related. So I asked them about jobs and like interviews and things that I had to do for that, so they were also very helpful in that. So you can ask them. It's not like you don't have to worry about what they will think of you or how they will answer, so they don't at all, and they're very good with all of that. They'll be very helpful.
And what's your take in terms of class size and diversity? I mean, what would you think would be a batch size be, and what percent would be Indians?
So in mine, my class is very small. So I have around 20 to 25 people. And out of that 25 people, it is, I think, 8 or 9 of us are Indians. And the other half is like Chinese and like 4 or 5 Irish people. So we have less Irish people in our class. But as Shivang said, there is, according to the course, it depends, like data science and all of them will have more Indians, and we do have like undergrad classes with undergrads also, so the class size increases. So we have up to 50 to 60 people in those classes, or it's 10 to 15 in some classes, so it depends on the course that you're taking.
And how strict are they with respect to choosing electives? So, I mean, is it very open-ended that you can take whatever electives you want? Can you go outside your class and take electives, or you have a set classes from which only you need to take? And how easy is it to change courses, and how easy or difficult is it to score over there?
So about the elective part, I cannot say much because I didn't have the choice of electives. My course was already pre-made. So I think the other two can answer that question even more correctly. But in terms of like marking system and all of that, so it's a little different than India. We do have exams, we have written exams and all of that, but it's very assignment based and project based. So all of the classes will have assignments throughout the semester, and then you have to submit them, and those grades are considered rather than exams. So out of the 5 subjects I only have exams for the 2 of them, and the rest are all project and assignment based. So it is good in some terms that you don't have to study for an exam, but you have to keep on studying throughout the semester because there's so many assignments and projects going on.
Got it. Okay, great. So maybe Aditya, maybe you can answer that now. What is a good grade to keep in college, Amna? Or do you think grades really matter when you are hunting for jobs, or you just need to pass? Or I mean, how would you make sure that you balance out your job hunting, your cooking, and your personal life and your college life and everything? Can you maybe share about your experience?
Well, I would say grades, like since as Bhargavi put it, it's more to do with how you, since it's mostly assignment based, it's how you apply your knowledge. And so the grades tend to be like, if you have a good study ethic that you've followed, and considering the fact that you're applying abroad and you're more focused on your majority, I'd say, are focused on their studies and are doing well in college, you would probably have a work ethic or a study ethic where you do your assignments on time, and so you attend class and then you try to apply those concepts, and you try to get you focus, like when you do your assignment. So when it's split, the percentage is split across, you try to focus on getting your majority of your assignments, majority of your grades and assignments, because they are within a fixed amount of time. They are easy grabs, like a
Okay.
20%
So what is
assignment
the
would.
scoring pattern that you have in Ireland? I mean, marks are what, out of, like USA, Canada is out of 4, India is out of 10 or 100. How does it work in Ireland?
It's a out of 4.2.
Okay. And what's a
And
good grade? So, I mean, what was like a 3.0 plus considered to be decent, or you
a
want, I mean, how?
3.2 would be considered a very a good grade. A 3.2 would be considered a good grade. Anything above 3.68, I think that is considered a very, very good grade, because that
Okay.
comes under the 1:1 category, which means
Okay.
that you're.
Got it. Okay, fine. So another question for you now with respect to, how do you manage time? I mean, like you will have college, you'll have your personal life, I mean, where do people, how do you usually manage all those things? You need to obviously be good with multitasking, having your personal life. You don't have your parents who are cooking for you and all. So how do you manage your other extracurricular activities? And another important question a lot of people ask is, in Ireland, usually all programs are 1 year programs. So is it really that hectic to, kind of acclimatize and complete everything in 1 year in basically just 2 semesters? What is your take on that?
Me personally, I can answer for the multitasking bit, but then I was in a 2-year course, so
Okay.
I'm in a, as I said before, I'm in it's a very niche category that I had selected in. I'd find myself in. So in terms of managing everything, it takes up all your time, but then you put in or you get a particular sort of method going on, like I think in the initial phase you try to acclimatize very well about your household chores that you need to do, like how to get your cooking sorted, what works for you. Like you cook like twice a week, thrice a week. Do you more refrigerate more, do you use the microwave more, how comfortable you are, based on your tastes you go about it, try to fix a pattern in that. And if it's more time consuming week by week, if it's in the initial start of the semester, you might have more time, so you could and then later on you'd probably get busy. So how do you adjust that? And then you fix that schedule and you go ahead. In terms of managing your job hunt and as well as your studies combined, you probably have to prioritize between which would be priority. Say if you have like an assignment which has like a 5-day thing, you need to fix time for both of them, because both of them are equally important. So you fix a fixed amount of fixed amount of hours per week for a particular for your job hunt. Say you look for jobs, or you modify your CV and your cover letter and ask for advice on that. And apart from that, if there's like a group assignment or an individual assignment where you need to put in the effort, you need to do a bit of background studies, so you adjust the amount of hours. Also, the amount of hours per that is required for an assignment or for a class is already, it would be mentioned beforehand in your when you go like in your college, when you ask, like they would, based on that only they would give you your assignments. So if it's like a very hectic assignment, they would say it's due the end of the semester, which means that although they are giving that amount of time, it means that that amount of work is needed. If they're giving like on the 4th week, if you have like an assignment due, it means that amount of time is required. So it wouldn't be last minute where they're giving you, in most cases it wouldn't be last minute where they're giving you like multiple assignments. So based on that, you can prioritize and you can plan ahead, plan well. And as I said before, it all depends on the work ethic. So you just like give time, equally distribute your time that you have, and manage it.
Okay, thank you. So Shivank, like just how Aditya put in that, 3.2 plus is a good GPA. What GPA did you graduate with, my friend?
Yeah, I think I had a scoring system based on 5,
Okay.
10 on that.
Okay.
So in our case also 1:1 is considered the best, but they
Okay.
had told that what generally I had seen as an outlook for companies that were hiring at that time, 2:1 it was the confirmed base norm for some of the companies.
Got it.
Not for all of them, but some of them. They were like, if you have 2:1 and above, you are eligible for everything, all interviews and everything.
Understood.
But I'd say it's not hardly strict because I was 2:2. I wasn't even 2:1. And frankly speaking, I am not like one of the studious guys. I would be the worst in the class out there. I would be the best in the assignments, and I'd be the
Okay.
worst in theory.
Got it.
So yeah, I don't know. The reason being, I would say is frankly, yeah, not a studious person. But the second reason being, I had joined in after working in India for 2-3 years, and when I did the assignments, they were touch and go for me because since I was a working person, I knew how to get assignments done.
Got it.
I am in that flow of doing. I
Got
have a
it.
job to do. I'll finish it up in a time limit and I'll give it to you. And
Great.
that was
So
easy for me.
Shivang, just on the same lines, do you think having work experience in India is important before you come for a master's, let's say in Ireland or maybe any other country? Do you think it makes a huge difference?
I didn't see it making a massive difference. I just saw that yeah, you'd be well enough with your assignments. You'd be a bit more independent with the assignments. You won't have that habit of India of copying up assignments a lot because you have worked in a place and you have left doing all that stuff. If I'm in an engineering college in India, I know very well that none of the assignments are not done by people in engineering colleges in India. Hardly like 80%, 90%, I'd say. It's common over there just to take it from your peers and just sample it over with a different language. Here, that's not the possibility. There are checks for all those things, so you will be doing it yourself. And it makes sense to do it yourself because if you don't, you won't understand a thing of what they're teaching to you. So since I had work experience, I had the habit that you have an assignment, you have a given time frame, you finish it off.
So
Did the
how
same.
many people in your batch actually had work experience? So I mean, I'm just trying to understand the diversity in the classroom out there.
Hardly like if I'd say around 10 to 15% or 20% would be work experienced.
Okay.
Rest
So
all
it's
were,
not a huge disadvantage if you come as a fresher, right?
yeah, it's not a huge disadvantage. I've seen people like go through them. I'd say the ones who were at the top also were, most of them were freshers or they directly come from college.
Fine.
Again, reason being they had the habit of giving exams still, right? And I had lost my touch of giving exams for 2-3 years because yeah, I was working, didn't do any exams, didn't have the habit of writing things up and everything. And when I got my first exam done, I was overwhelmed. Like I wasn't able to understand what I should write in the paper because I knew everything. Obviously, I've done the assignments and I have got best marks in them. So
But you
that means
didn't have the habit of sitting in one place and
yeah,
writing for a couple of hours, basically.
yeah, that's what got me in the loop. Like I was like, I didn't know how to articulate myself well in the paper while I was
Okay.
writing that stuff. And
Got
yeah,
it.
that didn't give me great marks, but frankly, didn't matter much. I was the one of them who got the job as soon as I started my course.
Oh, beautiful. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
come to
started.
jobs later on. Okay,
Yeah,
but just another question before I move on. So
yeah.
where do people usually stay in Ireland? Do you like stay on campus? Do you stay off campus? And how do you go about hunting for apartments and roommates?
That's one of the biggest problems here, I'd say, is apartments in nowadays, in current time. Reason being, there are only limited houses here. There's no new buildings that are being made over here a lot. And because of that, and they already people over here know that there's a lot of demand for the houses. So rents are quite high and it is a bit difficult to find houses immediately.
Okay.
So it's better to start hunting from India. If you're going for campus accommodation, you would easily get it. As soon as you get the letter from the campus, if you immediately apply for it, you'll get it immediately.
What is the cost difference on a ballpark figure in terms of rent for on campus versus off campus?
On campus, the cost would be roughly around 700 to 800 euros, I'd say, per month, which would amount to around 50, 60,000, 70,000
Okay.
rupees. But off campus, you can you can start from 500 also. You would be sharing your room, but it would be starting from 500 euros, which would be 40,000.
Are there any good websites or anything you recommend to hunt for houses?
The most common one used here is Daft, and that's one of the best, daft.ie. But
DAFT.
Yeah, DAFT, Daft. And but the second best option is going with the Facebook and WhatsApp groups. Okay. There are a lot of Facebook and WhatsApp groups that are made over here. like Indians in Ireland or accommodations in Ireland, and people are added to those groups, and you
Got
can
it.
just put in a request there, or people put in their requests there, and you can just see those requests based on them, try
Got
and reply to one of them and get the houses.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Bhargavi, I just realized all of you are from Dublin city actually. So, do you think that, it's being in Dublin versus being anywhere else in Ireland makes a big difference in terms of the opportunities or the exposure that you get?
Yes, I would say that because I've been to quite other places in Ireland, and the like say that all of the other places are nothing like Dublin. They're like proper Gao, as you say in India. They're like that.
Okay.
And Dublin is one of the major cities, so there's transport and there's all these companies. So it is very good. There's livelihood here in Dublin. Other than all of the cities, they quiet down very easily. But some major cities like Galway and Limerick, if you're going to colleges there, they are okay. They're better. They're a little smaller than Dublin, but they are fine. So I would say, but Dublin is being one of the major cities. Mostly people would come here. The major like IT companies are based out Dublin, so there's more job opportunities, I would say, here in this place. But it wouldn't really matter because you're in Ireland after all, and you can move around. If you're like studying somewhere else, if you're studying in Cork or Limerick, you can come to Dublin very easily because the transport all throughout the country is very good. So, and being a small country, you can travel easily. So it's like a 2-hour drive or a 2.5-hour drive. So it shouldn't matter. But Dublin, being one of the major cities, is more lively, is more people, more Indians are seen here than anywhere else. So it is better, I would say.
Fine. So, being in a proper city, I guess getting groceries and getting Indian food should not be a problem.
No, it is not a problem. So groceries and all are like basic this things like Tesco, Aldi, and Lidl. These are the major grocery stores here. So you get everything there, and there are a variety of Indian stores. So there's Pakistani Indian like stores and Sri Lankan and Indonesian, all of that. So you get all kinds of food. So you get everything in those Indian stores. You don't have to worry about that, and you do get them in the other cities as well. It's not like you just get it here in Dublin. You get them in the other ones as well. But I think the number of stores will be lesser in those because they're smaller compared to Dublin. But that's not a problem of getting Indian food. You get everything here. So that's also not going to be an issue.
And in terms of transportation and all, I guess because being in a proper city, you will get all the public transportation. I don't think it's required to have a car or something as a student, I'm assuming, correct?
No, you don't need a car. Public transport is very good. So the buses and all are very nicely like run throughout the city very well. And there's this luas kind of thing which runs like a train which runs on the road, not like a train but kind of like trams. And there's a train also that goes around the country and in Dublin. So the buses are the main mode of transport that everyone uses, and it's not very expensive. It's quite cheap. So students have like a leap card which you can register for, and it is quite cheap. So you can get around the city very well.
Okay.
Mhm.
One question I forgot to touch base on while we were talking of college and education is how do you apply for scholarships, RATA, GA, assistantships, and are they easy to get?
So in like in Ireland, I haven't seen like assistantships in university. So if you want to do like a part-time job as a research assistant or something like that, I haven't seen students or like master students getting that. Usually the PhD students would get those. So people like doing masters would do part-time outside. So you would work in a store or in a library or something like that. So that's what students usually do here, or like internships and all of that. But research assistance is very rare for master students here. And if you're like opting for a PhD, then you get like lab assistants or something like that. So it's usually outside on campus working in stores, something related to that.
Okay, so legally, how many hours are you allowed to work as a student, be it on campus or off campus?
Okay, so when you're studying, you get to work 20 hours a week. And
Okay.
if you're on vacation, so you have like spring break or summer vacation during Christmas, you get to work 40 hours a week.
And what is an average pay usually that people get, or a minimum wage criteria or something?
So the minimum wage, I believe, is 10.50 right now, but it is increased. Like so, it's 10.50 to around 11 for an hour, and
Okay.
but depends also. So if you're working in a restaurant as like a like inside the inside the kitchen, you do get a little more. So a friend of mine is working in a restaurant. She gets 12ish around an hour.
Plus
So,
free food, I guess.
yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
it does, but 10.50 to 11 is the minimum wage.
So if
for an hour.
everything is in euros over there, or it's in
Yeah.
pound, or what? Everything's in
No,
euros.
it's euros, not
Okay.
pound.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, also being in Ireland, is it okay to you? What visa do you get? Can you travel around the Schengen countries also, or go to UK, or how does that work?
No, you cannot. You can only stay in the island. You cannot go to UK either. So you have to get another visa to go to the UK. And also for Schengen countries, you have to apply to another visa. You cannot go with your Irish visa.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you for that.
Okay.
So Aditya, can you
Yep.
talk about? I mean, how do you apply for scholarships out there? Like Bhargavi said that getting assistantships is a bit difficult, but what about scholarships? Do universities give out scholarships? If yes, how do you go about applying for those?
So scholarships are usually they are based on application to application basis. For example, most universities would give you if you have a very good undergraduate application along with if you have like a job experience or something which is if your application is very good, then they probably give you some amount of a scholarship or a 25%. That would be already predetermined fixed amount of money. That would
So
be.
this is given to you along with your admit letter?
Yes, they would say that the admit letter wouldn't necessarily have the scholarship, but then it would say that yeah, probably yes, with the admit letter you would have like it would say that you have this is the amount of fees that you're paying, and then you have you're eligible for this scholarship as well. So they'd give you an unconditional offer, and when you pay a deposit, which is very common for UK Irish universities, when you pay that amount, then you become then eligible, like that automatically deducts. Also the deposit that you pay also goes to your fees, so that also deducts.
Fine.
That's the basic
Any
scholarship
other
that you get.
avenues for scholarship that students can apply for?
It depends on university to university.
Okay.
There are certain scholarships that you can actually, if you go onto the website of any particular university, and if you go onto a scholarship section for the master's student or an international student, you would have some scholarships listed, but I would say it would be, they are competitive, and it would be as early as possible. If you apply, you'd get. If you
Okay.
have like an amazing undergraduate or if you have an amazing undergraduate profile, then probably the scholarship that is provided to you would be of higher monetary value. But
Okay, got
then
it.
but
So
then that would be it.
assuming you don't get scholarships, what is the typical cost of education in Ireland for a master's degree? Assuming a 1-year master's degree. So are we looking at something around 20,000 to 30,000 euros? What's the ballpark figure you would put across?
I would say in terms of for a 1-year course, I would say this is roughly the average that majority of my friends get as forex. Like majority of my friends have spent would be somewhere around say 20 to 25 lakhs.
Okay, fine.
Where
And
inclusive
sorry,
of
continue.
your fees and your expenses.
So the
Depends.
on-campus jobs usually take care of your living expenses?
Living expenses, yes, but then it depends upon where exactly are you living. Are you living on campus? Or the thing with accommodations is that on campus you have accommodations that tend to cater to your needs, which you don't need to share and all of that. You have a room for your own, probably have like you don't need to share the bathroom facilities. But the thing is the cost of
Will be
living, the
high, right?
expenses are higher. So if that is the case, then probably even getting a part-time job on campus or somewhere outside and on a store, in a store or a restaurant, might not really. It would probably cater to one half of your expenses, say your rent, and then you probably have to get a little bit extra from home. But then if you're living off campus and you're sharing, like depends upon how
Got it.
what you would like to prioritize, whether it's your monetary situation, or
Got it.
you would like how would you like to share, or how willing are you to be in your living situation, how would you like to go around. So that would
Got
be
it.
it.
Okay.
And in terms of your RA and TA, I think in terms of in US, they would consider that as a scholarship as well, where they would be paying you for your being a part of a research assistant or a teaching assistant. That does not necessarily work here. It is a very similar situation when in comparison to how it is in India, where you would, like, if you're a master student, if you're a master student in India, you would probably not necessarily be a research assistant or a teaching assistant. That would usually be given to PhD students, which was very similar to the case of the university that I studied in India, where the PhD students used to get that. So you could apply for it. You could try applying for it. Maybe if you have the research or if you have prior teaching experience or prior research experience, maybe you could be part of the group. It depends on professor to professor, but majority, they probably would like somebody who they have already majority. This is what happens is they tend to the professors tend to pick somebody who they've done their undergraduate project with in when they were doing their undergraduate, students who have already done a project under the teacher professor, and they're impressed with their skills. They know the way the professor thinks, the professor works, and then it's easier to rely that information, that knowledge onto the people who the professor is teaching. It's in line.
Got it.
If you're a master student and you're new to the country, then it would be much more unless the professor is extremely satisfied and comfortable rather with your skill set and trusts that you could rely that information. It's comparatively difficult to get a teaching assistant or a research assistant.
Got it.
That would be the criteria.
Fine. Okay. Just to cut you short, so I think Bhargavi has some other commitments, so she needs to leave. Before you leave, Bhargavi, first of all, again, thank you for your time on a Sunday. Any departing words on what you want to tell your student, other juniors, why you should come to Ireland, or anything that they need to do different, or any last piece of advice before you call it a day?
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that, everyone. I have to leave, but I think choosing Ireland would be a very good choice. Firstly, the country is very nice. I can't say a lot about the weather because I don't like it as much, but the country is overall very nice. The people are very nice, and the culture is a lot like India. So families are together. So I really liked it. So I am staying with an Irish family. So because there's so much accommodation problem, I had a friend who was staying with that family, and after she left, I took her place. So I'm staying with an Irish family, and they're the sweetest people ever. They're so kind and caring, and they treat me like their own daughter. So it's very nice. And I would say that the course is very nice. The learning pattern and everything, it's very good. It's very there's lots of opportunities. Many IT companies have come in here, and you wouldn't face any problems. I would say it's all fun after you come here.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll not hold you
Thank
back. Please have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And
Thank
do
you.
keep in touch.
Yes, of
Sure.
course. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great. Have a good day. So moving on to you, Shivank. So how easy is it for people to get on-campus jobs? Do most of the students get on-campus jobs and they are able to manage it along with their studies?
So what I've seen here is there's no such thing as an on-campus job over here, first thing.
Okay.
The major thing that you get jobs is from the job fairs that are happening on campus, or the job fairs that are happening off campus as well. So there are these 2-3 major big job fairs that happen throughout the year, and they are like Grad Ireland is one of them, and there are 1 or 2 more, and there'd be one happening in your university also, like DCU hosts one, and UCD also hosts one. Sorry. So you can go to those job fairs, and all the employers would have come there with their stalls, and you can talk to them, understand what they want, what they need out there. Most of them will take your resume then and there itself. And if you interact more, and like the way you interact with them, sometimes they give you the mail IDs of their HRs as well. So you can directly mail your resumes to their HRs, and they can then figure out if they want.
So it's a bit different from India, wherein companies come to India for the colleges for placement. Here
Yes.
you basically go to the career fairs and you interact with the people of the companies out there, network with them, circulate your resume, and then you follow up to get the interview call.
Yeah, that's the one that works here. There's no on-campus placement happening in any of the colleges.
And so basically, how easy or difficult is it to get jobs? Do you think that, Ireland being a small company, are there enough opportunities out there? I know that you're working with Intel. So maybe can you talk about your experience of how did you land up that job?
Yeah, so in general, if I say landing up a job here is all about persistence. There are a lot of jobs out there. It's just that you need the persistence for keeping on applying each and every day for 10 companies minimum.
Okay.
Because what I have seen is the people who did get also or who got later were the ones who weren't trying that hard in the start. They were just when they came in, like so in my case is a very exceptional case. I don't know why, what happened, but the simple thing that happened is I came here, and as soon as I came here, people had started applying for jobs immediately.
Okay.
Our course had not started yet and people were applying for jobs, and I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I didn't even start studying yet, I don't know what I'm doing, and I apply for a job immediately right now. And they were like, what happens is some companies recruit for graduate roles over here, and
Okay.
graduate roles need people who have just started a new course over here. So they would hire you immediately before the course has started also. And then they
Okay.
would tell you, they would give you a conditional offer telling that you finish up your course, you clear everything up, and you can join us.
So
And
what are the websites? I mean, so this is not through Career Fair, right? So are there any
no, this was
websites
through
that
career fair that had happened. So in the job fair, there were multiple companies in DCU that had come that time, and Intel was one of them. And I went in, I talked to Intel, I understood what they wanted and what they are doing. To be simple, I didn't apply it there. Like, I was very lenient with it. I was thinking that, I don't know, people are acting crazy. You just need to give it time and do immediately. But I didn't do it immediately, and I was like, I'll do it slowly. I'll see the companies I want and start listing them properly, make out a sheet, and then start applying. By that time, people had already applied everywhere. I talked to Intel, I didn't apply it there because there was a lot of line. There was a huge queue in Intel, and I was like, I am not standing in that queue. I'll go home and apply, because there's an online system, right? You can apply it online as well. They're doing the same thing over there. There's just a laptop, their online system is open, and you're applying there. So I was like, yeah, it's when I came home, one of my friends, I think, just contacted me telling that she was disappointed she didn't get an offer from Intel and all that. I was like, okay. And somebody challenged me that you apply, let's see what do you get. Okay, fair enough. I just applied my resume. After 1 week, I got a call. After 1 week, I got an interview. And after 1 week, I got the offer letter.
so
So
this all happened before the college had started?
yeah, just my college had not even started. And within 3-4 weeks, they
That's
finished
great.
everything up with me.
Beautiful. So how
So
are the interviews like? How are the interviews? Are they too technical? How many rounds of interviews do you have usually?
So I had 2 rounds, and most of companies have 2 rounds. One would be a personal, one would be a technical one. The personality one would be so Intel's case, it's a bit easier in the sense because they tell you what they need from you beforehand. They give you a call 1 week before and tell you that this is our company, this is what we are looking for in your interviews. At least a base, like what we are looking for in your questions. Like for behavioral, they'll give you 6 questions. They'll tell you the behavioral questions will range within these 6 questions.
Wow, interesting.
And but on the case of technical round, they just told that you should know these basic concepts, and after that, whatever the interview feels like, they'll ask
Got
you.
it. Got it.
And that's in other companies also. They won't tell you all this, but the basic criteria is the same. There'll be a behavioral round where they'll be asking you standard 6 questions about your leadership qualities or any projects that you have led. What if you have a failure in a project? How would you deal with them? Those are the basic ones. Whereas if
Okay.
you go to the technical rounds, they'll be the ones where they'll be asking depending on your job role. So if it's a coding based company, they'll ask you to code up something. They'll ask you for doing some Python programming within some certain set time frame online for them. And
Got it.
based on that.
Got it. So one question, since you already got a job so early, right? I mean, it would have been, much more pressure off your back when you were studying. So did you apply for more jobs, trying to, look out for more opportunities, or you were
Actually,
happy with your job? And how does that work?
I had applied for 4 or 5 companies only. Out of them, I only got rejected from one. The other 3 still didn't reject me. And the main thing over here is most companies, if they don't reject you, they're just keeping you on hold, thinking whenever we have a vacancy, we'll just contact so and so person.
Got it. Okay.
They don't straight ahead reject you. So 2 or 3 companies are one of those which did still reject me. if I wanted, I could have just pursued them once or twice and they would have given me an answer then and there. And it's all based on the resume. If they feel your resume was well enough, they'd pursue you themselves and they'd tell you that come over and apply for the job from your end, like come over for the interview. We'd like to have a talk forward. And by the rest part, it was not just me who got in Intel at that time. There were around 3-4 people from my course itself that I remember who got a part in Intel. And those who got rejected also, sometime later, I think they got a call back because that time Intel was having a huge requirement for people.
Understood.
So it was on the requirement base also. And Intel, HP, these are two big factories over here.
Got it.
Since it's a factory, anytime a requirement can arise.
Understood.
And yeah, this year they have increased, like this year the company is increasing like a whole new factory. So there were 2,000 engineering jobs available this year from Intel. So because of that, a lot of people were getting hired, and I also recommended people, and I got 1 or 2 people hired through that.
Okay,
So
nice.
there's a possibility in some big companies over here you get it easily, but there are small companies also, and there are some outside Ireland-based companies also, like US-based or Europe-based companies, which are just working online over here, and even they are recruiting as well. So recruitment, I won't say you don't have much opportunities. You have a lot of opportunities. It's just that you need to be persistent in applying to them.
So if I were to ask you a question, you graduated in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So I know it would have been tough time in COVID, graduating during COVID times and all. But having said that, I mean, if I were to ask you a ballpark figure, what % of your peers actually got placed on graduation?
I just know about the Indian crowd mostly because actually I won't know about much of the crowd or how many got. Reason being, I never attended my college. I just attended online. Like when I came here, DCU gave me the option of telling me that was a mistake on their part for person like me who doesn't want to go or travel to the college. They gave me the option telling that, yeah, we are recording all our sessions. So if you want to come, come. If you don't want to come, you have an online version of it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm not going anywhere from this place because I'm saving my travel money. I don't need to wake up on particular times, go to there and everything. All those things got washed out in a second, and I was just attending online lectures. By the second semester, COVID came. Again, the lectures were still online. So both times I didn't have to attend much. That's why I didn't meet many people. I hardly knew anyone in my college. I still know like 2-3 people only. But all the 2-3 people got hired, some of them in Intel, some of them in other courses. All my previous roommates, I'd say I knew around 15 to 20 people who've been my roommates over here. All of them got hired somewhere or the other, either part-time or full-time. But nobody is sitting at home, I'd say. Everybody is getting something or the other, and everybody is able to manage their monthly expenses easily.
Okay, great.
Either be part-time or be full-time.
Beautiful. Nice. Thank you. Okay, Aditya, back to you. So since yours was a 2-year program, but since most programs are 1-year programs as well, right? So do people get time to do internships like a winter break or something like that? Or you just graduate and then you just pick up a job? Internships are difficult to be, available because of a short duration in most of the programs in Ireland.
Yeah, so it would depend upon the course that you do. Some courses have like a project that the final project, the final course thing is a thesis. Others don't have that. They don't have like a project. A couple of courses, they just have like 5 final subjects, and then it's just subject, and you finish the course. But then, so getting like a thesis, like getting an internship for completing that project is mostly unheard of. Majority of the courses for a 1-year course, but then you can apply if you want, and then you like there are courses where you can get like an internship along with for completing the final course. All you have to do is more you just need to apply. Like you can apply and you can speak with your college and your you can speak with the college and your supervisor and the company that you're applying for, and if everybody is, if they're willing to take and they're willing to do you can do the project over there, you can do it. But then that would be one hand, but majority you would do a thesis on the you would do a thesis in college, and then you'd apply for a job after that. So during when you're applying for the job, you could probably look at an internship, because the internships here, they pay.
So a
So
question. So let's say you graduate, right?
yeah,
I mean, it's a 1-year program. So you
yeah,
can apply for jobs, you can apply for internships. So it's very
yeah,
open-ended, right? You can apply
yes.
whatever you get. Maybe you do an internship, parallel you hunt for a full-time job. So are you limited to any kind of work? So let's say I've done electronics engineering, but can I work as a banker in a bank? Or you are limited to work in the domain that you graduated from?
No, depending on the skill set that you possess. If they think that, I think it was very well put by Shivang there, that it depends upon your CV. If you can say that you have, say, like you've worked part, or the courses that you've selected, if you can tailor it to the job description that is available, you can apply for a course, like you can apply for a job which is not in your domain, and you could get selected. It is a probability. You shoot your shot and you hope
Got it.
that they look at it, and the way you tailor your interview, the way you answer the questions, the way you tailor your CV first for the selection, followed by the interview, the way you answer it, there is a possibility. It's open ended. So maybe not extreme opposites, like you are in engineering and you apply for a banker, that which is a possibility. But say you are in a computer, or you've taken electronics or an IT, and you're or an IT profession, and you want something like an analyst role, or you're going somewhere which is related, which has some amount of coding that you
Got
know
it.
of, some basic
Fine.
stuff, and you're within the ballpark. If you're applying, there are possibilities that if you showcase the skills on your CV and answer the questions, that you are able to do whatever is the job description required for the role, you'd probably get selected.
Okay. So just, I mean, a quick question, and maybe you can just summarize it on. So when you also graduated, right? I mean, I would say how many % of people in your class actually had jobs when they graduated? In terms of on-campus jobs or off-campus jobs as a student, and full-time jobs when they graduated. If you can put in some numbers so people are aware of how the job market and the opportunities are.
Majority, like I would say, part-time jobs during education, while studying, landing a part-time job would be around 60%. Majority of the students get somewhere or the other a part-time job. There is always a requirement for a part-time job, because once the course is completed, a student would probably move on, get a full-time role somewhere, or they would focus their time and resources on hunting for a job. As Shivang put it perfectly, it's persistence. So they would try to focus more, since they've already graduated and not yet probably landed a job. So there would always be an opening, and you'd apply for a part-time and you'd get it. Immediately after graduating, landing a job, I would say somewhere between 20 and 25%. It's probably over time, in my particular case, because as Shivang said, in contradiction to me, it's more prevalent. But then in my case, in my circle, and as well as in the class that I was in, it was around 25 to 30% of the people immediately after graduation had a job in their hand. But then you would, yeah, so that would be the figure, and you would probably and eventually, but then within the 3 to 6 month period, people landing jobs was actually, the figure is more. You'd probably get about 50 to 60% of the remaining, they'd eventually land a role somewhere.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. So
And I would
Shiva,
say,
sorry,
sorry,
please continue.
just to add a final point, I think I would say that it's how you tailor your CV, and how you apply, uh, or how I would say the course that you take, the skills that you want to develop or probably are developing. You would probably look at the job description in these fairs. Maybe if you apply with the current skill set, and you could probably apply. If you probably don't have it, you could probably develop those skill sets while you are in the course, and make the most of the course, and then apply immediately after you graduate. And that could help you as well. To I would say uh, there are a good number of jobs available. It's just you applying and you being a perfect fit for that company.
Got it. Thank you. So Shivang, a question for you now. Okay, let's just talk in terms of the visa and the stay back option. So let's say you graduate, right? How much time do you have to actually get a job, a full-time job, once you are a student? So let's say you graduate, let's say for students who are planning to come this year, they come in fall 22, and let's say they graduate in May, June 23. How long do they have to actually hunt for a job or get a job before they leave the country?
So you'll have a stamp 1G over here as soon as you graduate, and that will give you 2 years of stay back over here.
So you
So
could
you have
sit at home and do nothing, or you could do part-time job, full-time job. You can do anything for 2 years.
for 2 more years. Yeah, you can stay here for 2 more years, and those 2 more years are not job dependent. They are just a stay back after you have graduated. And
Okay.
if in case you land a critical skill job, which was in my case, so if your job is critical skill, they'll give you a different stamp that is called stamp 1, which is pretty much equivalent to partial citizenship. So
Okay.
that stamp will give you again permission for staying 2 years only, but it will be based on you'll be based on the letter from the company. So it is critical skill with a letter from the company, but you have a privilege of calling in someone, like you can call in your family or someone over here. You can give them stamp 1G for coming here for 2 more years, staying with you. And yeah, it's critical. And the best part about critical skill is after 2 years of working on stamp 1, that is critical skill, you can straight go to stamp 4. And stamp 4 is kind of like citizenship visa. So stamp 4 is just a compulsion to renew it every year,
So
but there is
stamp
no
4, can I
compulsion for
say
a
that
job.
stamp 4 is like a PR basically?
Yeah, it's like a PR. So what happens is first 2-3 years it isn't a PR as such because you have to renew it every year. But it's not job dependent. It is independent of the job.
So
And
if you get a let's say a stamp 1, and then
yeah,
if you decide to switch companies and all, that's still fine, right? I mean, you're
yeah,
not
that's still
dependent
fine.
on.
You have to just work 2 years in critical skill in any company. If you have worked 2 years in critical skill in a company, you will be given a stamp 4. And stamp 4 states that after 2 or 3 years of stamp 4, you can take a long-term stamp 4, which is 10 years straight. So
Okay,
that is like a PR then. So because you don't have to renew it also now anymore.
got it.
But you can renew it every year because
Fine.
it's not company dependent for you anymore.
Now,
And it's
let's say
not
if you are
payback
not
anymore.
in the critical skills category and instead of 1, you get a 1G, then how is it different?
So 1G after 2 years, definitely your visa term has ended now. So you can ask for the company for a dependent letter to keep on renewing it. And if you renew it for 4 years or 5 years, then you get a stamp 4 in 1G. So it's the
Okay,
longer period for getting a stamp 4 after 1G. Whereas in case of stamp 1, you can get it in a 2-year period, the stamp 4.
got it. But it's
And
not difficult to renew it, right? I mean, if the employer likes your job, it's very
yeah,
easy to
yeah, they
renew.
won't. Yeah, if the employer likes you, they'll always provide you a letter. And over here, if you have a permanent job, any job can fit into the critical skills category as long as the employer is willing you to give you a letter and you are filling the
Got it.
form to a good agent. Every job can become a critical skill job. It should be
So who
permanent.
helps you with applying for these stamps and everything? Will the employers take care of it? Will the college help you out? Or you need to do it
So,
through a lawyer, or how does it work?
so for 1G, you don't need to take care of anybody, take help of anybody. You can apply it yourself. For stamp 1 also, you can apply it yourself. It's not a very difficult process. But since it's critical skill, you need a special employment permit letter that has to be made and you need a whole documentation to be set for that. So it's preferable that you hire a lawyer or some agency for doing it. In some companies' case, like Intel has a dealership with, I think they have a deal with the government over here. So they have already appointed a company for us who handle everything. We don't
Got it.
need to do anything on
So
our
they will
side.
take care of everything.
They take care of everything on their side.
Okay, got it. So it's
But
not
the
that
application
difficult.
is done through me. So what happens is they guide me through. They get my documentation and everything aligned. And when it's time to apply an INS, that is that naturalization and Ireland naturalization website, I applied myself. And nowadays, because of COVID, they had made everything online. So I just had to upload my documents online and submit a form online, and I could renew my visa
Got it.
every year without going there.
Okay. So to rephrase, on the student visa, you have 2 years to hunt for a job. And in
Yes.
those 2 years, if you get a job, it could be either 1G or 1. And then you work on those for 2 years. And then If it's 1G, you keep on renewing it. If it's 1, you can directly apply for a stamp 4, and then again stamp 4, the renewal process happens. So it's
Yeah.
not that difficult for a stay back option, basically.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. Most people over here have been able to stay back easily. I've seen nobody has had difficulty staying back if they're willing to work. If they're getting a job, if the company is ready to keep with you, you will stay back and there'll be no issues with your visa at all.
Beautiful. Nice to know that. Okay, Aditya, over to you. So maybe you want to throw light on, what do you think are usually average starting salaries? I know it will vary from college to college and course to course, but a lot of people would want to know, like you said, average expense is about 25 lakh rupees. So what are the starting salaries that people get? Obviously, it will vary for an IT engineer or a mechanical engineer or an architect. But even if you could throw some ballpark figures, like Bhargavi had said that for working as a student part-time, maybe you get about 10 to 11 euros an hour. So are there any minimum wages or any ballpark figures you can talk about the starting salaries people get on graduation?
So for the stamp, so it would be somewhere between it could be anywhere between 28,000 euros per annum to 42,000 euros per annum.
Okay.
Anywhere between that, a basic.
So we can assume maybe 28,000 euros a year would be a base if you do well in your interviews and you land a good job.
Yeah, and it could then easily go, like, I would say somewhere between 30 to 32 would be the average that you would land eventually.
Got it. Okay, so it's not bad. You can easily, save money and recover your loan in 2 to 3 years, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that was one thing. Second question I had was, do you think that with Brexit happening, a lot of companies from UK have moved to Ireland and a lot of boom is happening and there is a sudden craze for going to Ireland? If you look at what's happening in the last 3-4 years, have you come across these things that because of Brexit, Ireland has benefited? A lot of companies are coming up. They are saying that it's becoming this new Silicon Valley of Europe. Maybe your thoughts on the same?
I definitely I share my views, but I think it would also be beneficial if you ask Shivang his opinion. But what I've observed here is the fact that because of Brexit, what's happened is Dublin has become, or Ireland rather, not Dublin. Ireland has become one of the only English-speaking countries in the EU. So, and also Ireland has it has a lot of tax benefits for companies. When it comes over here, it's I think it's one of the lowest tax, has the lowest taxes for companies that set up shop here. So a lot of US companies, US based companies come here and set up their one of the headquarters over here. And that is being seen. A lot of US IT companies, be it IT companies, be it pharmaceutical companies, they come and they're trying to set up shop over here in Ireland. So yes, there has been an effect, but then UKS is trying to hold on its own as well. So, but yes, there is a shift where companies, not from Europe, I would say, but more from across the pond, from US, they're coming over here.
Okay. Also, most people who graduate from Ireland would end up working in Ireland only, right? Or do you see them move to Europe or UK for other opportunities? Or I know it will be difficult to get different countries, work permit, visa and all, but do most of them then end up being in Ireland only?
What happens is, so when you're a student, you get stamp 2, and then once you finish, you're on a stamp 1G, which is a graduate visa. And then, so usually when you need to go to the critical skills, you get a letter from the company. One of the letters would state probably you'll have to stay with that company for at least a year before you can jump. So when you stayed so long, it's only a matter of time when you get stamp 4. So majority of them stay the time to look for a job. Alternatively, you can actually look for if there have been cases, either if you look for even more higher studies, for example, a PhD, people go to UK or to mainland Europe because they probably have other aspirations of landing a Schengen visa, move around mainland Europe. Or there is also there's also other consultancies where you would probably get a higher pay in some other sectors which is not based in Ireland, probably, which has a more prominent base in Europe. So they would tie up with these consultancies and they would get a work. If the company allows them to get a job in mainland Europe, they probably jump because of probably a higher pay or tax benefits. But there are cases, but majority, about say 60% of people, eventually if they come to Ireland, they like the culture around here, they are used to the work culture over here, they like it, and they stay back and they move through the process of naturalization within Ireland.
Got it. So one more question is, so when you come as a student, you have a 2G stamp, then you go for a 1G or a 1 or a 4G stamp and all. So every time you make a trip outside Ireland and you come back, you need to get a visa stamp, like a 2G stamp, 1G stamp, 1 stamp.
No.
Or you don't need to go through the visa process every time.
No, it's for a fixed amount of time. Say you are on a stamp 2 and you, with midway through your semester, you want to go to India. So you visit there for there's a fixed period of time where you can stay outside the country. You need to head in within that limited framework amount of time. I'm not sure exactly what the duration is, but for a period of time, you have the card that they give you, a stamp 2 card. So you could show that and you can just come back in.
So you come back and then let's say you get a job, you get a 1G. So you just get a 1G card. You can just leave the country and come back. You don't need another visa.
No, within the duration,
like that.
Within the duration of the time the stamp is valid, you can stay whenever you move out and in whenever you want.
Okay, so that's different from other countries because like in USA, you have a student visa, employment visa, green card. So every time your visa changes, you need to take a stamp for that category of visa before you come in. So you don't need to go through that process for Ireland, basically.
You need to apply and get the visa, but then the duration of that stamp would be fixed. It would expire at a particular time. So within that time, you can move out and in the country for a fixed duration, but you need to stay in the country, say for a fixed duration for the validity. Otherwise, the validity might...
And then you apply for a renewal and you get it and you can just use that to move around, basically.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So you don't have to worry about going to the consulate and stamping and all those things, basically. So that's quite
when you are applying for a change of the stamp, you need to worry about it. It's not the consulate, but just the immigration office which is within Ireland. You need not go back to India, or any of that hassle is not there. You just apply for a renewal and you get it renewed. It's much more easier.
Okay, great. I think, okay, great. One question before we just open it up to Q&A, maybe Shivank, you want to answer it. For people who are applying to Ireland, anything you want to talk about the application process? Does applying early make a big difference? Anything you need to be different in terms of your application, a TOEFL or IELTS, or your SOP, or anything you want to throw light on?
So I think the main thing that they are looking for is the TOEFL and IELTS score over here, firstly. And you don't have a GRE criteria over here, so no need for a GRE exam. The second thing that they'll be looking for, your college grades won't matter. They would give you an upper edge, I'd say, but they won't matter if you make a good SOP and a good reference letter from your teachers. Because in my case, again, I was not that well in studies in engineering as well, equivalent to as much as I was here. So I didn't have very good grades. I was like on the bottom tier of my grades. So in that case, I just got application easily because of my SOP and because of my reference letters, which was all, again, simply put, with the help of Collegepond only, I had done both of those things. It was not just me alone that I wrote my SOPs and everything. What I did was, from my end, was describe it out properly of what all I have done that can be fit in my SOP. Since I had job experience, I think that covered me up for my lack of studies, I'd say. So if I had a less score in my engineering, but my job experience covered me up easily, because you could see in my job experience well enough that, yeah, I've worked a lot, and even if I have not worked a lot, the amount of work I've done is a lot of projects and everything that I've worked on. And they gave a reference to my to the course that I was applying here, pretty much. So that helped me a lot. And regarding that, the application process, yeah, it is better to apply early. It always makes sense. I was one of the early applicants. Like I applied as soon as the applications had opened, and yeah, it helped me out. It got me a seat as fast as possible, and my process was smooth throughout as well. I was easily able to get visa on time, because the main part is getting the visa for here. For the first time when you are in India, if you have to get the visa, it takes around 2 to 3 months for getting that visa after application also. So there's a lot of lead time for that. And that's why it's better to apply it as early as possible for applications, because that visa lead time.
So
I've
when's a
seen many
good time to apply for visa?
visa, I think I'd applied in June. When I had to come in September, I applied in June. So there's, I think, the period of time of when you have to come, when your course is, you can apply only some 3 months before that or 4 months before
So
that.
the
I
moment
think.
it's that date, you just apply straight away and hope
Yeah,
that you
I
get the
applied.
visa in 2 months, basically. Got
Yeah,
it.
and that's when I got it on time, because I have seen many people who got the application, they applied late. They did get the application through to the university, but their visa got them delayed from coming here,
Got it.
because the visa process takes its own time, and you can't hasten it anyhow. It'll take its time, because the visa, whatever visa application you have given, goes to Delhi. From there, it goes to their consulate. Over there, they have a lot of pile up of things to approve, and then they decide based on that. So it takes a lot of time for them to cover that up. So I'd rather suggest you apply early just for the visa's sake and nothing else. Rest, you can get a seat later also, but
Okay.
then the visa would be difficult and you'd come in late over here.
Got
So
it.
that
Cool.
would be a
Thank you
hassle.
so much. So any last words of advice for students? Anything you want to talk about? Any experience, unique things you want to share before we open it up to Q&A?
I just say one thing, that first thing is, if you want a job, persistence. Every person over here, minimum 10 to 20 applications a day has applied for jobs over here, and they've applied it as soon as they have landed over here, not just after the course or in between the course, as soon as they have landed. And it makes a difference, because if you apply early, there's a good chance some of the companies might still take you for graduate roles, because there's a huge requirement for graduate roles over here. Generally, they want
Okay.
freshers coming in their company whom they can mold for their company from the start itself. It makes
Got it.
sometimes help for them. So that's a good thing to do, I'd say. And the second thing is, hunt for a lot of houses before coming in.
Okay.
Start the hunt 2-3 months before coming in itself, I'd say.
So
Because
you apply for visa and you start this in parallel, basically.
yeah, you should have to hunt for houses a lot, because there is a lot of people running around for finding a place to live over here.
Okay.
And I'd suggest you hunt for, if you're not going for campus accommodation and you want to save some money, I'd suggest you hunt for houses as much as possible beforehand itself.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Thank you for that information. I would say let's get started on the questions that have come in. So one question that is coming in is, 1 second, hold on. Did you face any issues regarding rent or living expense or sudden increment due to recent situations?
I didn't get an increment in rent, but yeah, there has been difficulty in finding houses. I didn't get difficulty much, because by the time I was coming, I did the same thing. I started hunting 2 months before. So I got a house. I got a house at least 1 month before. But that too, I had got that house on trusting people, right? What happened is, on some WhatsApp chat, somebody had put an ad that 3 people are there in a 4 people house and they need 1 person. And all those 3 people were from the different place. They were from Chennai and I was from Mumbai. So I had to just trust them on faith, and I gave them the money for the deposit, because as soon as you find a house here, the day you like it, you have to pay the deposit immediately. If you don't pay it, the next day someone else will come view it and they'll immediately pay the deposit, and it will be gone within a day. So I trusted people. I got the house faster, and that's how I prepared myself before coming here.
Maybe any one of you can answer these questions. I'm just going to throw across what's coming in. Are there students in the age range of 25 to 30 years?
The students are majority in the age range of 25 to 30 years. To be very
Okay, so age is not a bar basically. Great. Okay. Is there any rule that restricts Indians from getting a kind of job, let's say in cyber security, because of issues related to government clearance?
no idea.
I have not faced any. I didn't see many. Only for army roles, they'd give you a restriction for being an Indian, but I don't think anybody would be applying for them over here.
Got it.
There are cause engineering based army roles also over here. Only
Got
those
it.
are the ones that they don't take Indians, but they don't take anybody outside their country over for those roles.
Okay.
And other than that, everything's fine.
Okay. The part-time jobs that you do during your study, are they course related, or it could be anything like working in a store, cafe, restaurant, etc.?
Third collar job, blue collar jobs. Yeah.
Okay. Two questions have come in. How is the electronics market in Ireland? How is the computer science market in Ireland?
So if you're asking regarding jobs, electronics and computer science is a good and booming sector over here. They are in need of people for those departments because there are a lot of companies coming for that department, I'd say.
Okay, great. I'm in the final year of engineering and I've received a conditional offer from DCU, but the final year mark sheet will be out in July. That's required for unconditional offer letter. Do you think the visa process can be completed if I apply in August if I inform the university about my situation? Do you think you can apply for a visa with an unconditional offer letter?
I think you can, but you'll have to pay the university fees because over here 60% university fees needs to be paid for applying for the visa.
So if you still have an unconditional letter, you could still apply for a visa with
you can ask the university and they'd ask you to pay the 60% fees. If you pay the 60% fees, then they'd be willing to give you the letter for getting that visa.
I'd say I applied without me getting the thing. What you can apply for is when the course completes. Immediately after you complete the course, you can get a course completion certificate from your university, which would state that this person has completed, to the best of our knowledge, that he or she has completed the course, and they are waiting for the results, but they have completed the course. So that would then give you that would definitely and then you pay the deposit, then that will make it an unconditional offer.
Okay, got it. But in case they don't do it, you can still apply with a conditional letter also for visa, right?
Yeah, 60% fees need to be paid and confirmation from the university. They'll give you a letter for that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sites for applying for jobs.
I didn't want many.
Sorry,
gradireland.ie.
gradireland.ie. Okay. Any other website?
irishjobs.ie.
Okay, irelandjobs.ie. Okay, great. Okay.
irishjobs.ie. I'm sorry.
irishjobs.ie. No problem. Okay. Yeah. Fine. I'm just making a note of it as well. Okay. I'm an incoming student for MSc Finance at UCD Smovitt School. I've heard that it is hard to find off-campus accommodation, whereas areas in Dublin that I should be looking at. Any areas in Dublin to look at if you're ready to spend about 600 euros a month on rent?
You can look at
outside the city center.
Outside the city center. Okay, great.
Because the city center is the expensive part of the town. So outside the city center would be great.
Okay.
You could also look at places near UCD Smurfit because that is in the south of Dublin. So anywhere near that, within a 10-kilometer vicinity. You could also look up at UCD's website, which says which has accommodation hints and tricks, which says which areas you can actually look at when you're looking for outside accommodation. You should definitely, if you're applying for like UCD, even DCU, or you could look up at UCD's website to see the areas that are mentioned over there for people searching for accommodation, because it's a common thing that happens, that people are looking for off-campus accommodation.
Okay. Is a 1-year course enough to specialize, considering that many countries have 2-year programs like USA, Netherlands, Germany? Do you think 1 year is enough to specialize or study in depth?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because the assignments are well modulated for getting you ready for each and every section of the course. the number of subjects that they have over here, they give you a proper set of assignments within that term duration. And if you do them yourself, you'd pretty much be able to get a good hang of the course and
Got it.
understand things well.
It would depend upon how much effort you put in, how much effort you put in each module that you get.
Great.
And
Yeah,
depend upon how much skill that you develop.
I remember you explained that with example. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. One student has put in a question that the condition for my offer at UCD is that you need to have 8.0 CGPA. So the completion certificate wouldn't suffice, or you could still go ahead with that conditional letter because the final SEM result is not out and there is no guarantee that she will get an 8.0 CGPA. So should the student then take the risk and still apply with the conditional letter for the visa, assuming that she's confident that she'll get a 8.0 CGPA?
No, that is a very specific case. Then probably she'll probably have to wait and get the because the course completion cert. What she could do is that she could give like a letter saying that the previous 7 semester she has an above 8 CGPA, and the final semester result does not impact her, and she's it is estimated to get definitely above 8.
No, but so if the student is very confident that, hey, my CGPA is gonna go up, then it's okay to take the risk and apply for the visa?
Yes. Then on top of with the conditional offer you can get and say as she says that it's not about the risk, you can apply. Yes.
Okay, so it's about the visa. So visa should not
I would
be a
say
problem.
you could have an open communication with the university saying that I am definite, like my 7 semester results are over 9. I am 100% sure that I will get this, but in response to my visa, I want this. In regard to my visa, I need a I need a letter from the UCD saying that I can apply for the visa, and it's going to happen. And if there is an open communication between the student and UCD says, okay, fine, it's done, or the universe or whichever university says it's okay, then should be fine. You can apply for the visa.
Great. So Shruti, I'll just summarize it that since your CGPA is already 9+, I think you should be fine. Just make sure you have the supporting document from UCD who says they are okay with you applying for a conditional visa, and I think you should be fine. Okay. Is it possible that I pay the fees, get everything sorted, and complete the course remotely from India? Do you think that helps if you want to complete the course remotely from India?
Yes. Does it help for what?
I mean, can you do that? Do you think if I do the course remotely from India, will I still be eligible for a work permit in Ireland?
No.
Yes. No.
Because I mean, I am telling no because of the reason you've not stayed here, right? So if you have not stayed here, your visa is not that 1 year validity does not count, because there's a rule of staying here. Minimum, you can only be out of the country for about 60 to 90 days within that visa term. If you have a 1 year visa term, and if I am outside Ireland for 90 days, then I can't extend my visa anymore.
Got it.
You lost all your perks for that 1G 2-year extension.
Got it. So, and I agree, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're spending so much money, you would rather be in that country and do it. Otherwise, just do an online course on Coursera.
Yeah.
Okay. Do universities accept students who have 8 to 10 years of gap or work experience?
Yes.
Okay. How is the finance job market in Dublin post-COVID?
I don't think I'm qualified enough to answer that question.
Not well aware, but I've seen people, like I know 1 or 2 people who got hired in finance roles. So I don't say it would be much problematic. There are not many people who do those courses here, but yeah, you'd still get a job.
Shruti has another follow-up question. Can I contact an UCD, or whom should I contact regarding supporting documents for visa, considering my conditional offer letter?
Admissions, you can contact the admissions department, as well as you can contact the student desk at UCD. Also, you can contact UCD Global. They would UCD Global. It's on Facebook. They're also on LinkedIn. You can contact them, and they would give you answers for all of your queries. Definitely, they would give you an
One
answer.
last question before we call it a day. Ireland is a hub for tech, pharma, and IT. What about masters in management? Okay, are there jobs for people who want to do project management, supply chain management, HR strategy? If you can throw some light on the same.
I have many friends who've done supply chain management, but frankly, they've all not got supply chain management jobs. They've got different jobs. They've not got the core jobs. So I wouldn't recommend it much for the people doing management courses because it's difficult. That's all. You'll get jobs, but it will be a bit of a more hassle compared to the ones who are doing tech and IT. You'd see them getting jobs faster.
Okay.
Supply chain and all these roles are less. So it'll be a bit difficult for you to get one. You'd have to really work towards it.
Great. Okay. I take this opportunity again to thank all of you all for your time on a Sunday. I'm sure your juniors have benefited a lot. Okay. Appreciate your time, Aditya and Shivang. Thank you very much once again. It's a pleasure to talk to you again after a long time. We interacted a couple of years ago, and we'll be more than happy to work with you. If you need any help from Collegepond also in the future, please feel free to get in touch with me, and appreciate all your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
No issues.
Cool. Signing off, calling it a day. Good evening to everyone in India as well, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.